We don't, folks. Mm. So we have a little bit of sell side in here that it didn't take. I'm going to use this here as inversion to go long. Just going to see if I can get a little dip down in there. Just a little bit more. Oh, just a little bit more. Quick. But you know it's not market replay. Come on. Yeah, I don't think it's going to give that nice deeper discount to me. So I'll use this one here. We'll buy in the lower half of that. Just wait for the candlestick to put market price inside that. I'm going to aim for the 830 buy side. Well, give me a little bit more. Candlestick low here. And we're going to target 830s. Why? So what you just watched happen is I missed the opportunity to get in here on this one. I wanted to see this candle drop down a little bit lower and get inside what would be viewed as this there. You can see it touched it, but I wanted to see it get down just a little bit inside there. It was reluctant to do that. So if it won't do that, guess what that means? It's strong. Okay, so you have minor buy side here, and now see this high and that high right there. That right there is a minor buy side because, and why is it minor? Because this 830 high is where the economic calendar was implemented to send price lower to build in a bearish narrative. So I'm fading that here. So this is minor buy side because it's below the low that will be targeted. Move this out of the way. I know some of you guys like to watch too. Okay, and I forgot to put the minor. Minor buy side top left, and then the line will be blue. Don't worry, I see where it's at. I'm going to buy some more. Very good. So now I'll have to endure a little bit of drawdown as we get into this once more. And then this should be a strong rejection higher because all this price action down here, we've delivered both sides of it while leaving that minus buy, excuse me, minor buy side. And then we have the 830 news. So I can buy that as well there. Again, my stop loss is below this candlestick's low. There's no need for it to trade back down there. If it does, I'm wrong. How's that for logic? But what happens if you get stopped out? That, my friends, is what we call in the old country a loss. Doesn't mean it's the end of the line. It just means that that transaction didn't yield the outcome that you were hoping for, or in this case, that I was hoping for. So we want to see this thing scurry along a little bit and work its way above here. And I have to tell you, it's a little bit unorganized this morning. It's not as pristine as I would like to see it behave. But, beggars can't be choosers, right? Again, make sure we show that it's not market replay. Pay attention to the lower side of the chart down here. See all this down here? There's no play button, no pause, none of that stuff. Everything's indicating that it's absolutely 100% real time price action. All right, so it needs to go now. Thing a bearish fair value gap for the folks that love to see that. Yeah. Okay, so the bodies are staying in the upper half of this inversion fair value gap, but now we have to wait and see if they can start booking the candles in the upper half here and leaving this area no bodies once we get in here and out of it. That's what we're looking for. Okay, now that it's validated that bear flag for retail traders to be short, they're caught offside. All it's doing is trading down into my inversion fair value gap. And now you'll see price strongly reject and move higher and start working towards this portion up here. See how that works? It's almost like it knows who daddy is. Easy, Michael. Retired ICT, remember that. So we want to see it leave this portion. Even if it's a wick, it's fine. And then we want to see a strong showing on the upside with bodies being delivered on a closing basis and range expansion above this high. And that would indicate that we're likely to go to this one. And then here, where the minor buy side is, and that should act as like rocket fuel to send it strongly up into 830s news buy side liquidity. So it needs to get out of this little bit of a funk it's in and show a nice rip higher in here. Okay. This is manipulation. It's not doing anything that would make sense algorithmically. It's spending too many candles rather, inside of this range and in between the two sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiencies. So this is all manipulation. They may be wanting to take it down below that low one more time. And if it happens, then I'm going to get smoked with this stop loss. That was a mohawk. If we get a nice rip out of there strong, then I'm definitely right. Mm. See how that candlestick's low? Said you can't pass. You can't go below that. Let me, I'll draw it. So you can see it visually, appreciate it. See that? Stop loss just below that candlestick there. Now it needs to start building the narrative again, or at least start to. It hasn't done it yet, but it needs to get us up into the upper half and outside of this inversion fair value gap. Monkeying around in here is not conducive for high probability. Yeah, this is manual intervention here. They're in here messing around with something. If I get stopped out and we take out that low, I'm gonna look for this as an inversion fair value gap to go long on, and then look for the same ideas I have here. So I'll let it have the stop if it can take it. Don't be afraid of taking losing trades, folks. Okay, because you don't know the trade you're getting in right now or about to get into is going to be a winning trade. You're never going to know that, especially when you're brand new. You got to overcome that fear. If you can't overcome that fear, you can't be a trader. That's the rules. Sorry. Notice the lower inversion fair value gap where the bodies are booking right here in the upper half. So we need to start showing a strong rip higher. Now, this is where I'd like to see where this was a fake bear flag. I want to see this act as a real bull flag. So it's not that I have, excuse me, it's not that I have anything against the underlying classic pattern. I just think that it's many times implemented incorrectly. I guess that's a better way of saying it. So we went down to that low. See what I mean? This is all manipulation. I dodged the bullet there. I think they got my laptop tapped. Watching my screen via Trading View, listening to me in my microphone. Again, the bodies are staying in the upper half here. All this is manual intervention. This is definitely them mucking about. I think there'll be a strong rip higher, tearing through this high, this high, this high, and quickly getting up to here. They've enticed traders going short. They've tripped all kinds of breakout artists to the downside. Anyone that's long that's had their stop losses here, they've been ripped out of their position. So we're expecting it to ramp up. So I don't even expect it to go up in here and then worry about laying bodies down in the upper half. I want to see it completely drive right on through here. Way too many candles in here. You see that? That's how you know they're holding it. It's between two PD arrays. This doesn't make any sense at all. So that's how you can identify it. Okay. So when it does these things, you have to kind of like rely on, well, who's made money this morning? Shorts. You have to identify the economic calendar and the liquidity off of a price run that originates at the 8:30 right there. So that's the mark. Okay. That's where the sniper has his crosshairs trained in on. And all this stuff in here is this distractions, noise, wind gusts we have to navigate through. See how the body's staying right there on that? Look at that. See that? Way too many candles. But I'll stay with it just so you can see a losing trade. And then how I would mitigate that using the same logic, anticipating getting stopped out, anticipating everything. So it'll give you some, hopefully, it'll give you some confidence not to be concerned about taking a losing trade. And then what happens when you do take a losing trade? Do you throw everything out the window? See, stopped out. Let me check my pulse. Everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's fine. So now we're going to take these and just keep the same premise on it. That was a stop out. And consequent encroachment. Come on. Yes, ma'am. Candlestick right here. So here we have this, there. This is a bear trap. This right here is a bear trap. They want people to target this. All that's in here tells me this isn't getting taken. This is just them baiting, and this is going to be a strong rejection higher. It's going to be a very, very abrupt turn on this. And then there we are. That's it. That's all I'll put on this one. Actually, I didn't notice that wick right there. Let me get underneath the consequent encroachment of that. So I'm beneath the midpoint of this wick, allowing for that little mohawk here. Now we want to see it rip aggressively higher, chopping right on through both of these inversion fair value gaps. We want to see this offer zero resistance because remember the first presented utilization is that they're SIBIs. So price going up into them should offer bearish prices. It didn't do it here. You see that? And it didn't do it here. So these two have failed in their initial role of first utilization. So now this one here, we're using the same logic that we would have applying it here and here. We want to see the body stay in the upper half. We've seen that. We've seen a little mohawk here. That's fine. This candlestick or the next one can come down here and touch it. It's better if it didn't. We want to start seeing like real aggression to the upside. Very nice. Very nice. Same thing here. We want to see no effect on price as a, like, in other words, look at it like this. Normally you would expect it to do something like this, like it's bearish and hold price down, that kind of thing. That's not what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for it to give way to the upside as it indicated and tipped its hand here. Okay. So I'm going to bring the stop up just below that low, reduce some of that risk. There's that second candle. I told you to come down and touch it. It would have been better if it didn't do it, but that's okay. Add to that there because I like it. I love it. And I want some more of it. It's a country song lyric, isn't it? Out of there. Same bit of business. Now, as I indicated, this is all manual intervention. Okay. They're they're really trying to bait people, and everyone's now forgotten about that liquidity right there. That's where it's going. That's where it's going. Trick is can you stay on the bull for the whole ride? Way too much time in here. Way, way, way too much time. Once we get this one single displacement candle up, ripping through these candlestick highs, driving into this high here. It's all but a done deal then. So you have to just relax and let it happen. The worst that can happen is you get stopped out. So what? You've wasted money on stupid things before in life. One one bad trade and execution isn't going to change anything. That's what we're looking for. Caffeine bar. Okay. Send it up there. Get above that 210. There's 230. And then it's just a matter of just roll the stop to cover costs and just let it cook because it's going to 830 high. That's this high right here. Okay. You watch me manage something. You watch me outline knowing in advance that I'm probably going to get stopped out. And then what I would do to implement a new entry, staying with the same narrative, looking for the same idea to pan out. None of these things that caused me to get stopped out change the underlying narrative of where price is going to go. Now, contrast that with when you take a trade and you take a loss. How quickly are you enraged? How quickly are you thrown to the wolves and feel like, all I got to do is survive now? And I don't know what the model is. That's typically what happens with most traders. And you have to identify what you're looking for. If everything in the chart is indicating that that's still potentially there, then go after it. It doesn't mean take 15 trades, and overtrade and over leverage and force your will on it. But right now, everything is indicating that it still could potentially go where I think it should go, which is the 830 candlesticks high. And that's where the buy side is right before the news released. Again, a lot of manipulation in here. They really want people wanting to send this thing lower. Like they're really selling the idea that it's a bearish move, and I don't believe it at all. We trade up inside this one here. The bodies are respecting the low of this, but we want to see it now book candlesticks bodies and outside of this and attack that high. So that little tiny little short-term high here is key at the moment. We want to see how it trades to that and how it trades through it. If it can punch through it on one single basis, one candlestick basis, ripping through that, then it's just a matter of time waiting. It's going to take that, which is he's here, and then rip right up into there and upset everyone that's been short. Just watch and see. Remember, at the moment, I'm in the red. So I have to stick to the process. Remember who's the mark? Who are they going after? I don't have to be leading the pack. I just got to be part of the meal. That's actually pretty good. I got to write that down. All right. So if she's going to go higher, now's about the time. We want to see it on this candle or the very next start making its move higher. With all these candlestick wicks on both sides. So it's become basically a balanced price range. And we want to see it rip out of this sell sign of bounce, buy sign efficiency that should behave as an inversion fair value gap, meaning that once we leave it, then the lower half should not see any candlestick bodies optimally. We're spending a whole lot of time in here. and it can be very challenging for someone. Now, let me say it this way: if you were less than a year with experience, and you were watching this, and you're in this trade with a live account, if you were in there with your funded account, and you're trying to stick to the process, this is an instance where if you had, not that you should have 24 contracts, even with the micro, um, maybe scale off half of them and say, okay, I'm going to take half off here. And then even if I, suffer a losing trade, it won't be all that impactful to me because you'll be feeling the tug of war, the effect of it not moving in the direction you want it to move. And then instead of watching the process unfold, then your mind shifts to, am I going to get stopped out or not? I want my profit. I want to see it go in my direction. So you're wrestling with these things that you want to see happen, but the impact of you being wrong costs money. It costs you something. And it's hard to look at that 830 candlestick and say, okay, I still believe that because you're getting worn down with all of this time distortion in here. All of this in here, where they're holding price. The fact that it's all these wicks like this, that's what tells me it's manual. If it was more smooth and the candlesticks made sense as to where they were going, then it would be just simple higher time frame, 5 or 15 minute order flow that it's working with some PD array it's inside of, or it's doing whatever it's got to do on a higher time frame, then delivering. But because it's got like a porcupine, okay, where it has like these little needles and thorns on both sides, this is all Phil, okay? Phil, our proverbial friend who's out here stirring the pot with the price action. But being an old timer like myself, I see this as I've been indicating and talking about it live here as the candlesticks are building and booking. I'm going to stick with the underlying narrative that this is all shenanigans. They've baited people short. I would not be wanting to go short with what we have here. This is definitely in the crosshairs, and then ripping above here, and then we have those smooth highs there, and then we have the 830 buy side. So this was all news related, and then we'll look for it to return back into that up there. Okay. Takes a lot of focus and management of the psychology, and sticking to a model, and then also tapping into experience. In the beginning, you don't have a whole lot of experience. So you're kind of like left to your own vices where if fear and greed are, highly motivating factors for you, you're going to really struggle when price does these types of things. But over time, being a part of it, that experience, I guess, will allow you to tap into what you've seen before. And how many times have you been here before? And it's not like first time you go as a little child, you go to the carnival and they had that amusement portion where it's called a haunted house, and you go inside and everything's spooky because they have spooky music playing, the lights are real low, and they have these things that jump out and lights would shine real quick on a masked mannequin, or maybe it's a live person in there to try to scare you. When you're a child and you've been through it never before, this is the first time going through it, it could be very traumatizing and scary. And that's many times what it's like to be in a market that's difficult as a brand new trader or a very low experienced trader. But what happens if you've been in there and you go through this thing every day, the same time of day? You walk through it, you know when they're going to jump out, you know it's Bill with the mask. You've met him after the park starts to close. Okay. You know all these things now, so you're desensitized. But if you walk with someone else that has no experience being in there, you can see how they would be impacted by the trauma of the uncertain and unknown. Those jump scares, those things that are around the corner that you don't know. That's the experience factor that no one really adequately describes. And I try to teach that where it you have to embrace the opportunity for those things to build, and they don't happen fast. That's why 5-minute trainers, Cliff Notes versions of my work. Okay. I watched all of Michael's videos, and this is the stuff that you need to worry about. Ignore all the rest. Uh, The compendium I have out here affords you the ability to go in and find what works for you. If anyone tells you, only watch this, only do this, and this will, and then when you do that and it doesn't work, what have you done? You've listened to someone. Here's our little run. I'm going to build that high here. So we have that. So now I'm going to take the risk out of the trade. So when you listen to other people and they give you this idea that, you know, this is all you have to do. Number one, they're trying to build clout. They're trying to build an audience. They're crowd building. Okay. And they want to seem like the person that cracked what Michael's put out there. And saving time is a big marketing thing. Okay. Because nobody wants to see, 1,000 videos and say, well, let me start learning with 1,000 videos. They want to get to the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter is you're going to have to sit in these charts and watch these candlesticks book. And I promise you, there is no shortcut around that. There's zero shortcut around that. But the problem is because people want to market and monetize their engagement, if they can get you to watch things that are quote unquote sped up or abbreviated for the sake of saving you time, but really about making them money because they're monetizing your impatience. They're monetizing your short attention span. And I want those individuals to leave my community. I want them to leave because those are the people that are never going to get it, even with the 5-minute trainer versions that people sell through learning from me and then going out there and creating their little, you know, sub communities and then talk smack about me and try to make you feel like you're part of the in crowd that's found their way outside of the cult when they're creating a cult of, themselves. So see how nice that is, how we ripped through that. Remember I told you it's important to see how we trade to that high. We we didn't just go to it and go down. We were pressing through it. So now we're watching this candlestick here because it has a wick. We have to incorporate the factor of that consequent encouragement. We have to measure the willingness of price to book a candlestick body above that. We've only seen the wick. Okay. So until that candlestick or a candlestick closes above that, we have to anticipate the potential of a return back down into this inversion fair value gap. You see that? See how that logic's there? Your 5-minute mentors under Michael's work doesn't teach you that. They now they have it, so they're going to put it in their mentorships now. You're welcome. They're not your students, they're mine. You're just a substitute teacher. So I'm gonna go grab something to drink real quick. I'm gonna mute this, let it cook a little bit. I'll come back in a moment. See how we've created to the consequent encouragement of that wick? We pull back down in. The way it's behaving here, it would be ideal for it to just leave this area on the upside. Now, obviously, that sounds like wishful thinking because I'm in a position that would warrant expectating, expecting, and waiting for confirmation that it will be moving towards this pool of liquidity next. But what I'm looking for is it ran up aggressively, a pause, small little consolidation, and then a new price run higher. The second delivery of this price run here, I want to see it cleaner than this one was. I want to see it with less candlesticks and sharper speed. So, in other words, think about how it took all these candlesticks to move here. To get to this pool of liquidity optimally, I want to see it start running and do it with less candles because it would show two things. Number one, I'm still on side. Two, this most important thing is it's going to run quickly so those individuals can't pull their orders. Okay, so for it to run from here to there, that high right there, to do it quickly allows for the counterparty, the handshaking, the the distribution of longs to those buyers at a higher price than we are at now at market price. So speed and the magnitude of where we're at and where I want to see it go to is indicative of them running stops that that proverbially never really happens. They don't go for your stop loss. They don't do that. Okay, it's just buying and selling pressure. I want you to study the candlesticks and how it was booked here. And if we start running here, it needs to be done with less candlesticks. So as soon as we clear this high here and above this consequent correction of that wick on a closing basis, then I want to see, well, think about it. We have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven candlesticks it took to get to here. Once we clear this high, or not so much the high, but the consequent correction of that wick, once we clear that on a closing basis, I want less than seven candlesticks to get to that buy side. That's all I'm saying. It's the easiest, shortest way of explaining what I just meant. Because it should go up, small consolidation, and then faster rip to get to that liquidity, not let them pull their orders off. The idea is, all right, if you were short in here and you had your stop loss right here, how safe would you feel right now? How safe would you be if it was here? How safe would you feel here? You'd probably want to close the trade and say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to take a loss, or I'll take whatever I can out of the trade now. That's the basis in the thinking or internal dialogue I'm holding in regards to where we're at here, where we came from, and where it's likely to go to because it's smooth highs. And we still have that 8:30 news embargo, that rip lower. That's where liquidity is resting. That again, that's the mark. That's the target. Again, affording it to come back down and touch this inversion fair value gap. It's permissible. It's fine. Ideally, if it does do that, if it comes down and trades into this, I'd like to see it come back up and the body be above the midpoint of this wick. Okay, so a consequent encouragement of that wick. So I'm just going to show you visually what it looks like. So if it comes down and touches this, the bodies need to come right back above it and be at or above, preferably above. But I'm going to take that off. Just now you see it, okay? But preferably I'd like to see it just start to run higher. So it's not just simply give me a technique to get in, give me a technique to get a stop loss and target. You have to weigh out all kinds of stuff. Every time a new candlestick forms, you have to constantly weigh out whether or not that is supporting the idea that you initially thought was viable for a trade, because it might not be. It might not be there anymore. So by default, you're going to end up learning how to watch every individual candlestick. Whether you choose to think that that's something that's reasonable right now because of your skill set or your experience or your discipline that you're trying to learn from someone else. The only thing that it does is improves your ability to know whether you're on side or offside. And does the trade look like it's about to turn around or is it running and still showing favor for you to see your target be met? All right. So I'm going to take off 14 contracts at that buy side. Okay. And then I'm going to put the rest of it there. Okay. So that we understand what I'm looking for and how it should be managed. Very, very nice. We want to see the body close above that 264 level. And then we can submit to the idea that we're still on side and then they'll run for that minor buy side. Okay. So now there's one candlestick. Again, it's got to be delivered optimally less than 7 candlesticks. Okay. So here's one. This is candlestick one because we closed above consequent encouragement. So in my mind, when I'm watching price action, it took 7 candlesticks to get to here, and the draw is here as a kind of like a first objective or first partial. Let's call it that. The draw overall is here. So this is terminus. This is a target before getting there that makes sense because it's logical. So we had one candlestick deliver, close above that right there. And because of that, that's candlestick one. So it needs to be 7 candlesticks. I'm sorry, less than 7 candlesticks to get there optimally. So they don't pull their orders away from those highs. So now I'm going to lock in a little bit more because we've cleared a bit of business. So now, best case scenario, I get my target, a partial, and let's just watch this thing cook. I got to let my puppies in. See what it's done here? It's moved up into this SIBI, candlestick one, candlestick two, candlestick three. Okay. And it's not a necessity. Like I said, it's something I want to see. I want to see it deliver on a shorter number of candles to get to my first partial, which is up here. So don't start turning this into a science and make your little internships and say, see, ICT counts candles and it's a specific number of candle that he only buys. I don't do those things. Okay. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. But now, since we pull back in this buy side and balance sell side efficiency and changing the state of delivery right there, it means to show a willingness to sharply rip away to the upside. Because I have outlined what I want to see, and it's already showing a willingness to not want to do that less than 7 candlestick run. That's why I brought the stop up. In the event that it didn't do what I want to see it do, if I get stopped out, it's okay. It's not. It's not pain. Let's put it that way. Because of what it's doing here, I'm gonna take 10 of them off there. I don't like the fact that it pulled down that far. Now I could still be right on the trade, but I'm not willing to hold that whole position with it doing that. And we'll change this to selling 10 there for remaining out at the 830 high if you can get there. And what I'll do is I'll put a stop at 10 contracts if it takes this low out there. And then I'll take 4 off there. So I'm managing the position in such a way where if I'm wrong and it drops down, takes out that wick here, I want 10 more contracts taken off because it's not likely it's going to go where I think it's going to go. But I'll stay with 4 contracts just below consequent correction of that inversion fair value gap in the event that it's just a wild spike that stops me out and then goes higher. So I won't have the full position I wanted, but it's okay. It's about making money. It's about managing the position and managing risk, not about being perfectly right about everything, especially when they're in there manipulating constantly. You got a a bigger workload on your plate as a trader now, whereas it used to be rather simple. Well, what I want to see is I want to see the bodies get up in the upper half of this and leave this buy side balance, sell side efficiency, so it can act as a reclaimed bullish fair value gap or buy side balance, sell side efficiency. Once it leaves it, then we have to keep our attention in the lower half where then no bodies are permitted on the candlesticks at all. And we want to see it resume going higher. This off. Hmm. I'm trying to remain optimistic about the fact that this was a stop hunt and then going up into my targets could be manageable. This kind of stuff, usually you don't get this from your dollar mentorships because they haven't been trading long enough to have this level of insight. And I don't mean that sound arrogant, okay? But because it's not arrogance, it's just a matter of fact. You have to have somebody that's been in here doing this stuff for a long, long time. Otherwise, you're guessing, and guesswork is just, it's not good. All right, let's see how fast we can get up to that 29 315s. These are the lectures and lessons that every trader doesn't realize they need or have enough experience to know that they should want it. So you all want the get in easy, low resistance liquidity run conditions, It's just so easy trading, and they happen, they occur. But what happens when 98% of the time it's doing things like it is today? You have to have the ability to see what price is likely to do and navigate. If you don't know how to navigate, well, you can make money on the good days, but you'll give it all back on days like this. And that's what you see on basically on social media. They'll show you their trophy wins, but if they're honest, they'll tell you, "Well, I've spent $100,000 on attempts to pass challenges. That'll be $5,000, so we'll call that a winning day." Come on now. All right, let's see her run now. I'm going to remove this consequent encroachment line here. It's done enough to show what we were looking for. If it can manage to get to my first partial and trade to 29 315s, I'll cancel the 10 and that's actually wrong. I'm glad I checked that. Glad I checked that. Thank you. Yeah, that would have not done well. Old eyes. Good catch, Michael. Good catch. All right. So again, if it comes down and stops me out, I want to be off 10 more contracts between that price and where I went long. And then that would remain with 4 contracts long with a stop below consequent encroachment of this inversion fair value gap. Ideally, I want to see this thing smartly move higher, reach in there and take that. If I can afford an opportunity to escape with 10 contracts here, that leaves a balance on the position with 4 long. What would happen then is I would cancel this and just move my stop to the remaining 4 contracts just below consequent encroachment of this wick. That's what I intend to do should it happen. Okay, so that way you can see everything's been explained ahead of time. So that way, if it affords me the opportunity to do so, you know what I did and why I did it before I did it. I hope that made sense. Mm. Now, this is a day where if I get stopped out, like I wouldn't want to add in or try to re-enter because we're too far up on the curve. So think of this like consolidation, sell off, return to consolidation, smart money reversal, low risk buy, accumulation. I'm looking for reaccumulation, second stage, where the sharper, more pronounced price run higher that takes the original consolidation out. And then the best case scenario over here, exit is just, the cream on the top, the cherry on top, if you want to call it. Here he goes, cherry picking again. I wish you would have did this live. This would have been so much better if you would have taught it live. You're watching a recording, watching every individual candlestick. Stop trying to copy me. Okay. That's one of the things I want to move away from. Plus, when I'm live streaming, they're really, really paying attention to that. So they're hiding the fact there's a large number that watch my live stream. And on a Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning, I had 50,000 people join a live stream that was never even advertised. Usually I'll put the link on my X feed on Twitter and invite you all, I'm streaming. I didn't do it that day. In less than 4 or 5 minutes, I had 50,000 viewers, but it disappeared and the statistics never reflected it. But I have students that saw it happen too. So I'm being throttled. So if I'm going to be doing this, I got to do it not as ICT. I got to do it as Michael, and I got to go back to the shadows. Okay. And you can make whatever you want to make of that. Okay. I don't care. You all have your own little lures about me. They're entertaining. I'll give you that. A little sloppy here, but hopefully we'll see her reach up in there and get that smooth highs at 29 313s and to 315s. I'd like to see it really just violently run for the 830 high, the news candle at 830. I have an impact gun in my hand, so if you hear it banging on my shoulder and my bicep, I apologize, but I'm a little sore today. You don't have one of these. It's actually very, very nice to have. Get a nice one for a little less than 200 bucks. So we've spent a little bit more time in here than I would like. So I want to see it stay out of making a body at all in here. It can touch the high, wick into this a little bit, but then it needs to really start traveling higher inside the next three candles. Why three candles? Because we've spent so much time in here. Three candles would afford a swing low. It don't need to create a swing low here with three more candles. It just means that I would like to see it start to move higher because we've done enough consolidation. We had a nice stop hunt below here. We saw that. That was nice. The bodies are respecting the buy side and balance sell side efficiency here. So any rallying up here should accelerate into those 29 315s. All right, so we want to see range expansion speed get up in those 29 315s. Don't let them have an opportunity to pull their orders and accelerate through that and gravitate towards that 29 360. All right, so to have no problem getting up here and clearing that for my first partial. A little bit of a tricky day here. Certainly not low resistance liquidity run conditions, but still tradable. You got to have a little bit of experience, a little bit of patience. You have to babysit the position a little bit more. That's one of the things that I try not to participate that much in conditions like this because it requires a whole lot of holding, hand holding, making sure the position is doing this and making sure. Whereas in low resistance liquidity run conditions, it usually rewards you quickly and affords you a stop loss that you don't have to babysit so much. All right, we should see it pop up in here now. Deliver that partial up in here. There you go. Look at that. The old man still got it. right? Now the balance, like I said, I'll bring it up just above consequent encroachment of that wick. And you could get rid of these little bugs. Now I want to see it accelerate up into 830's candlestick or stop out. I don't care. I'll set this up in the event that if I see something that makes me have concern, I can take singles off. So we were in here, next three candles, remember I told you, create a swing low. It did that very thing. It's probably like rookie sensation, beginner's luck, right? Oh man. So not bad. I mean, right now I've mitigated the drawdown on the day, and then we have booked 28.50. So $2,800 on a mitigated loss. Walked you through all of it here, explaining what I'd like to see, what I shouldn't see if I'm on side, and then hopefully we'll have this run up in there and get the 830 candlestick high, and that'll round out a nice learning opportunity for you today. I know you probably missed the old man, haven't you? But I gotta tell you, I like this new chapter. I really, really enjoy it. And please don't be upset with me and don't be angry at me, okay? Because I'm not trying to hurt any of you. I'm not trying to make it harder for you, but I don't know how many years I have left in this, but it's flesh, and I want to spend it as much as I can, you know, with my family. And so, with that, that's going to have to reduce the amount of time I spend as the other guy. So, let's look at uh, event horizon. Okay, so we're going to use this line here, which is that high, those relative equal highs to here, up to, uh, let me scrunch this up, make sure I'm drawing all the right one. Okay, so we're going to drag it right up to this candlestick's high, okay? And what that'll do is it'll give me the midpoint between two pools of liquidity right there, okay? So now just below that, I can put a limit order to sell one of them. Okay, so this would be at the level right there. And let's come back just a little bit. So that way it allows for spread. It allows for like the back and forth type. It might get to the level, then fall short. It might get to the level, fall short. So that way I can take a partial there, and the stop loss I'll roll up to beneath that low right here, because it should not come back down to that. If it's going to go up to there and take out the 830 high, I don't want to weather any retracement down through the midpoint of this consolidation. It's already done enough of a stop hunt. So there's no need for it to come back from where it is here down there. If it does, then it's problematic for me to see a sustained price run, you know, through the lunch period. I don't want to be in this during the lunch hours, to be honest with you. Like, I'm trying to see if it can afford me the opportunity to give me one more partial, and then I'll just let it cook without having any kind of ongoing commentary. Widen this out so you guys can see the candlesticks a little bit better. Do you like it like that? I know most of you have your candlesticks like that. I like to keep it like right about there. And it may not show up real well on certain individuals' monitors because the colors, the wicks or whatever. I wish there was a little bit more prominent, but it is what it is. I used this. One of the students uh, recommended me like a I guess it's an indicator or application you can put on TradingView, and I'd like to see it go higher off of this inversion fair value at where we're at now. Start pumping it up in there. Uh, I think it's called Thick, THICK. And what it supposedly does is it offers the ability to make the wicks on the candlesticks broader more prominent. I used it and I didn't like what it was doing. So if you made that and you're a student, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It just didn't do what I was hoping it would do. So anyway, too bad, not too bad. Just because I'm getting tired, I'm going to take one off here. So I'm running down equity. Okay. I taught this a couple years ago. Every time it takes a new high and I'm in a long, as soon as it takes the high out, I'm going to take a partial off there. And I could care less about it getting here on my final target with the full position I entered with. That's to me is a little overzealous if you're brand new. And I'm trying to kind of teach you. Make sure this is showing when I do it. The the idea of you growing into this. Sometime before the end of this year, I'm gonna sit out here and run the day from open to close and show you just what the old man can do. But when I'm teaching with the perspective of you're a brand new student or very little experience. So it kind of helps encourage you along because you may have things that you encounter early on or questions or concerns or doubts. And seeing me do things with not all of my repertoire, not all of my arsenal, and forcing myself to only use the one paintbrush, just one paintbrush. It hopefully encourages you. You can translate that to, well, you don't need a lot. Here's the event horizon in action. So now I have two contracts left, and now because we're so close and we're at event horizon, I do not want to afford the market the opportunity to come back and roll on me. So this is where the last point of reference is for sell side liquidity. For it to come down there means it's going to likely have a deeper retracement and not go for my target. So in other words, going here, Nix is this, or I'd have to hold through lunch. I'm not trying to do that. So I'm okay with getting stopped out on the balance here because I've taken three partials at the high of the session. And I've done a pretty good job, I think, down here in walking you through what should and should not happen. And I'm going to take one more off just here because I just feel inclined to do so. And if you don't mind, I'm going to screenshot this one. I missed it. I like to show it when that little window in the left-hand corner is showing. So it shows the execution hit. It's not me painting these things and typing it out. It's crazy how you get all these people around the world that just simply can't accept the fact that I'm out here doing this stuff. I'm not charging any money. When I could be the leader of the pack and getting everybody's money. But I don't want to do that. And the reason why I don't want to do that is namely, I don't need it. Two is because you'll hopefully appreciate the fact that I'm not afraid of it not working in the future because I'm giving it away. You hear everybody say, well, if you have a profitable system, don't teach to anybody because you'll lose your edge. My edge is the market. That's the edge. So what you're saying is by me teaching you how these markets work internally, by me teaching you how they work internally, they're going to stop working the way they're internally working. Make that make sense? It's silly, isn't it? When you really strip it down and you think about it like that, it really defies all logic why somebody would argue against the things I'm teaching because I'm not forcing any of you to be here, you know? And I understand I'm probably hurting a lot of people's business model because you want to sell something. And it's not my fault that my stuff's the best. And I'm not going to apologize for it. And there's people that come here and they can't make it work in their own hands. It's not because of the concepts. It's because of their inability to follow rules, their inability to fix their problems, and or they want something that's a little bit more mechanical. And they haven't spent the time to make the things that I teach mechanical because you can. You can automate them, you can streamline them where they're just very, very simplistic. But I leave that up to you because I understand because I went through it the same way that you are going to go through it. Every profitable trader has a measure of development that they bring to the table their own individual personality. Even if you learn from me, if I took 10 of you off the streets, just said, okay, look, different walks of life, I'm going to teach you every single day one specific model. You are not allowed to do anything else. You're all individually going to bring something uniquely different to it. And that might mean that you don't take a certain trade around a certain context and day because of your experience, that you've seen certain things that cause you to lose your mind and you can't stay with the idea. Oh, what are you doing? You're trading with a general principle and a model, but you're bringing your own personality and experience into it. And that's why I teach the way I do because it's not realistic for anyone to say I'm going to teach you exactly what I do and you'll be a carbon copy of me. But it comes with the territory as a teacher with a great deal of influence and somebody can come out here and do this stuff. It's reasonable to anticipate the people that are really inexperienced. They want to believe that learning underneath someone that does something really well or consistently, they will be just like them because they learned from them. And that's not true. It's not true. And I want you to understand that. I'm not selling you an idea. I'm not selling you a myth or a fantasy. I'm not hyping you up to believe that you're going to be just like me given enough time. And I hope you understand that that's practical, that's honesty, but you can learn how to have a skill set in your own hands with your own personality using the things I've taught. You can carve out a really nice living. Can you get rich? Sure. But what happens if you just focus right now on learning how to make your grocery bill every month? Wouldn't that help? I think it would help. And that's what I'm trying to aim at. I'm trying to make it where you don't come to my channel and see Lamborghinis. You don't come to my channel and see Ferraris. You don't see all the lavish stuff. You don't see spending money. You don't see watches. You don't see trips and vacations and things. Like you don't see that stuff because none of that's going to make you a better trader. The only thing that does is it entices people with low IQs, short attention spans to come to the channel and watch it for just visual stimulation, not learning how to do something that's a skill set that yields profitability and potential income that's residual. As long as you apply yourself, it's there. That's what separates me from everyone else. I'm not giving you glam and glitz. I'm simple. I come out here and I tell you, this is what the market should do. This is how you can read it and anticipate it, and don't expect to learn it quickly. But when you do learn it, no one can take it from you. No one can say it doesn't work. They will not be able to discourage you, and you'll have every bit of the same measure of confidence that you have when you go to your job. You know, if you submit yourself to the time that you place at that job, at the end of the week or your end of your pay period, you're going to get a check, and that's what you're owed. That's what your business and trading will be like because it's something that repeats. It's not random. If it were random, I would not have been able to explain all the nonsense in here and where we're at. This is a testimony that 30 plus years of experience being illustrated in a very challenging portion in here, telling you what it should and shouldn't do, even taking a loss, knowing that it was going to take a loss, and then showing you there's no reason to be upset about it. There's no reason to be nervous. None of that stuff. Because eventually, especially in these market conditions, and you've seen it here today, if I drive myself into market environments where I just assume not trade in it, I'm prone to have a stop out and get offside too. But if I'm trying to be Superman in my own model, not because I want to impress the world, but because I want to impress myself with continually striving to be excellent in my execution and management of myself and my model. If I'm trying to be Superman in all instances, eventually I'm going to run into something in the market that these candlesticks that are green, they'll manifest themselves as kryptonite. Give it enough time and opportunity. If you keep going in all the time, you're going to get met with that and you're going to lose. And when you do lose, remind yourself, hey, this was one transaction. I'm not on social media. I don't have to go out here and correct my image in front of everyone else. I'm running a business, and my business is my business. It's none of your business. So go back to the task. What's your model say? What does your rules say for engagement? Are you allowed to take another trade if you get stopped out? In the beginning, you shouldn't. I promise you, if you do that in your first year, you won't blow out. You won't go on tilt. But break that rule, and you're going to tilt all the time. I promise you that. And many of you are listening and nodding your head, man, I wish I would have did that. And it's experience now you have. It just costs you a little bit more money. I'm trying to save people some money and some brain cells. You don't have to burn yourself out. I'd like to imagine what I would feel like in my mid 50s, like I'm entering, if I wouldn't have put myself through all the stress I did as a 20-year-old. All of you have an advantage over me in that regard, those that are in your 20s. That's probably the only advantage. I gotta toss it in every now and then, right? See if she can send one more time up there and clear out that 8:30 candlestick, and I can sail off into the afternoon here and enjoy my day. I don't have a lot of these types of opportunities often now. So where I can and I have the time to afford to record something and engage with price action, teach you something, I'll certainly try to do that. But my pursuit, more or less, now is how much free time can I consume doing things I love the most that's not in the market? And some of you have been very accommodating in that regard, and I appreciate that. If it stops me out, that's okay. I've done a pretty good job of managing it. Now, some of you may look at this and say, "Well, look what you did there. Like you took 10 contracts off there when it was dumping there. I don't want to see it accelerate down through that." And it could have done that. Like it could have done that. See where my stop is? This is that old relative equal high. We had a stop hunt there, high up in the curve, close to 830. So I'm anticipating them staying, keeping these lows or that sell side intact. Keep it there. Because if they take the buy side above 830, then they can go short and then ride it down and buy it back from sellers at a low price by keeping that low intact here. So that's why I'm looking at it that way. If I get stopped out, it's okay. This makes me uh, close this video, which is really long. I apologize, but you know, it is what it is, right? It's a real live recording of market action and management logic, internal dialogue being shared. Anybody that takes these types of lessons and like compartmentalizes them, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Like you want to be here and watch the recording and listen to everything that's being explained, candlestick by candlestick, and that way it's like, who cares that it's not live? Okay, who cares? You want to be able to do something based on what I'm saying live. That's the only real reason why you want that to happen, because everything that's being shown here is as it's happening. Okay, there's no 15 different laptops being shown. I'm focusing on one market with a specific logic that I'm trying to build that understanding that that's all you need. You need one approach to trading and the ideal idea of where the market may go to. That's the draw on liquidity. And if you know where it's likely to go to next, It's not hard to look for the stepping stones and the handholds to where price will pull it up, and it's not support and resistance. But when you have market conditions like we have now, it's a little bit more challenging. And I have been very candid about that. I'm not out here pretending that it's so easy a caveman can do it right now. If I was a shameless shill selling a course, I could be out here pretending, oh, it's so easy. But I'm really taking a lot of effort to focus on what I'm seeing in price action, what it should do, what it shouldn't do, and a lot of things it shouldn't do in ideal conditions. It's doing those very things. But I'm holding on to the context that, okay, I'm going to give it a little bit more room in the trade because it's high resistance liquidity run conditions. Low resistance liquidity run conditions, I'll be more aggressive about moving my stop losses down because I'm not concerned about them coming back where I would move my stop. Here, you got to be a little bit more forgiving, but where because it's traded to my first partial objective at that 312 level. And again, that's these levels over here. That's this high here and that high. This high slightly lower than that one. So they're relatively equal, trading up into this SIBI. And at 830 candlesticks high, that's where my terminus is. I don't care if it goes up to 30,000 today. I don't care. And that's what I teach as a developing trader. When you don't know anything, look for the market to go to specific locations and be content with enough. Everybody that's selling courses, everybody that's selling, attention, engagement, traffic, drama, they always want to come after the fact, after I've done something like this video. You'll see it in the comment section because I don't delete that crap. Um, they'll say, well, you should have did this, you did that. Okay, well, where's your recording of you walking through what was going to happen before it happened and how you managed the trade and how you did everything to do what you're describing? That's the stuff that gets on my nerves because like my feelings aren't getting hurt by anybody's opposing opinion of me. But it's like if you're going to go through the task of trying to draw a contrast to what I'm clearly proving, then where's the evidence of what you're suggesting? Because it's not there otherwise. It's just a Johnny come lately after the fact opinion that's meant to make you feel smart because you want somebody to like and engage your post. Like I didn't just do what you watched me do here. That's the funny part. Like you never see them explain away with other people's logic what I'm doing when I'm taking the trades and executing on them. But supposedly it's supposed to be rebranded. Rebranded support and resistance. Nah, I don't think so. All right, we got about 12 minutes or so. And then we have officially entered into the start of the lunch macro. So I want to see it pump up into that 360 level. Give me my limit order. And then I can go peacock in front of my wife and say, listen here, woman, this is why you married me. Woo! It ain't because I'm so good looking, baby. It's because these pockets are deep. Okay, it's enough of that. If she was here, she'd be giving the hairy eye right now. The only people here with me is my two little girl boxers, and they're bored by all the stuff I just said. They don't care. But if I say, "Do you want to go for?" Well, they're already perking their head up. But if I say RIDE, they go crazy. If I say, "Do you want to get a TREAT?" Boom, they go crazy. Or if I say, "You want to go PLAY?" Boom, they're nuts, like kids on candy bars. Okay, like hopping around. But you can say anything you want otherwise, and they're just asleep. They don't care. They're not overly concerned. But it's funny how they just know certain words, and it's like, boom, that's exactly what I've been waiting to hear that. Well, my wife is like that when I know how to push her buttons, and she does not like that three-letter guy that I've been for a long time on the internet. And when I used it many times just to push her buttons and get her going, get a rise out of her. But she's not here. But if she would have been, she would have been ripping into me. You probably would have heard her. She'd been like, "You said." Yeah. It was Michael pushing the buttons today. That three-letter guy is not doing it no more. What's the difference? The difference is I'm not here trying to prove anything. I'm out here teaching. And you're hearing, I mean, this is how it would be if you were hanging out with me every day. You know, did you hear any cuss words? Did you hear any kind of swearing? Nah. Just a you know, a dad guy hanging out and talking about what he thinks gonna happen. Ain't no different than if we were talking about sports. I'm not a sports guy, so but if it was sports and NQ was my team, okay, like for instance, say it was the Seattle Seahawks. Not that I like them, but if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, you know, good for you. If you hate them, you know, that's your business. But the point is if I were a fan of them and we were friends and we were hanging out, chances are the conversation would turn to that somewhere. And we would talk about a certain instance where a certain play at a certain quarter, at a certain down, at a specific yard line, a certain player did this or that, and the coach should have did this or that. And we would have a conversation around it. But because I don't have that, and my whole life has been God and then the markets, it's it goes without saying that our conversation would go in the direction of talking about price action, the markets, and experience, and having fun and taking ribbing shots at each other, but all in fun, not to be egotistical, you know, or overbearing. But I found out over the years that doing those types of things, being overbearing with it, it caused the crowd to build up. So I was like, you know what? Why advertise and pay for all that stuff? I'll just act like a clown out here, use a demo account, give everybody reason to make fun of me and come and watch and see if they can see a train wreck. And in the process, prove what I'm teaching is valid. But that's run its course now. So that's the reason why, for the folks that have asked, you know, what's going on, whatever. I just, I don't feel inspired to do it anymore. And I like not being that guy now. I just really enjoy it. Spending an awful lot of time here, just below that 830 candlestick high. Makes you wonder if there's going to be like a real quick spiking wick up there, and that'll be the end of it, and then they'll retrace into the lunch macro. Either case, I'd like to see it get it done. There'll still be people complaining this video is too long. They want to learn how to trade. I don't want to watch that video. Well, how do you expect to navigate price action if you're not staying with the actual price action and learning? Like it's astonishing. Like they want to be able to say, I want to hold on to a trade for 90 minutes to 2 hours or a whole day if they're going to be a swing trader, but they don't want to listen to a lecture over a span of time that's equivalent to that. Look, you can't learn it if you don't do that. It's impossible to learn it. I'm going to squeeze a little bit more juice out of this lemon and put the stop at just above consequent encroachment of that. Because if it goes there, I don't want to be in it any longer. So all this here either going to deliver to my limit order and remove me, or it's going to come to my stop loss and remove me. And I've done worn out my welcome in this trade. I could care less what it does now. So as soon as I start worrying about the outcome and I get irritated, um, that's kind of like what I start doing. I strangle the position at the end of it because I don't care. I've I, I've done enough to get to targets and a chase down equity, and we have relative equal lows here. If it comes down here and does that, okay, it could clear that and go higher, or it can clear that and go deeper into this consolidation. Either case wouldn't be good for the position and the stop I have. So why not just take a little bit more out if it stops me out, which is what I've done here. And it either moves in my favor and rewards my patience, or it removes me from the trade. And I've taken a little bit more than I would have if I would have left the stop unchanged. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm giving myself positive self talk. I'm not saying, I hope it doesn't stop me out because I really want to get my target, or it's my target or bust. I didn't do the things right because it didn't go to my target. See, now it's like a release. It's a release. I'm completely decompressed now. Done. The trade has been executed. So when this is done like that, it allows for reflection and say, okay, I did a couple things here that I could have improved on, and hopefully I'll learn over time to improve on them. But look how well price behaved with the logic that I employed during the trade. And then you get your little screenshot. You put that in your journal, and then you come back to this and you fill in all these little empty spaces with dialogue that you had during the time. If you didn't do it live, you fill it in as if you did. And because you look at the chart at the end of the week, at the end of the day, and you see these little annotations and you refer back to what price was doing, you're anchoring subconsciously a measure of pseudo experience, and you're tricking your brain into believing that you saw that thing happen when it formed or just before it. And because you're able to see it, it's just like when you buy a car, you think everybody's now buying that same car. You've activated your reticular activating system. Your subconscious is now filtering everything and specifically looking for this. Like you're looking for it. And it's kind of like in the Matrix. You know, there's a woman with a red dress. If I tell you the woman of your dreams is wearing a red dress and she's in the crowd around the corner, there could be a beautiful woman saying, I am ready to go home with you right now. But if she's not wearing red, you wouldn't even notice her. Why? Because you've been primed. And when you journal properly, that's what you're doing. You're priming your subconscious to filter out the things that of great interest to you. That's what the PD arrays that I'm teaching. And you can see how Price utilized them in here, even in a very sloppy, albeit deliverable, but still high resistance liquidity run conditions. Spent a whole lot of time in inefficiencies in here, okay, but yet still delivered. Now my target, the terminus at 8:30, I still think that that's going to probably find its way into the daily range. I'm just not going to be afforded to stay with the trade because I've been stopped out. But I could care less now. And I want you to have that same measure of indifference when you're engaging price action. Hope you found this insightful. Hope it helped you. Until I talk to you next time, be safe.